Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, where we look at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Welcome back. I am your hostess, Kristen, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Amber and Cindy.
Hello.
Hello.
And today we are talking about what's in your cup, metaphorically. I mean, I could say I have some iced coffee in my cup right now, but that's pretty normal for me. Amber as well.
I have some iced coffee.
Coke Zero.
Actually, I have like two
Sonic.
cups, so I have iced coffee.
I have one with
and
water
then
and
water.
lemon. That's my new thing.
Sonic with Coke Zero and lemon.
I think my flavor of the day for water is like cotton candy or something like that.
Oh, the little water flavor packets?
Yeah, the water flavor
I'm
packets.
actually trying to wean myself off of those.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not water flavor packet. It's the skinny mix. It's the water.
The little bottle that
Yeah,
you
the
pour
water talk
syrup.
bottle, and I only do like 2 pumps, so you can barely even taste it.
I've been squeezing lemon and lime in my water. It's pretty good. It's my new thing.
You need one of those infusers.
Oh, I
Where you
got
put
one
the-
for my
where you put the
wedding.
fruit
Those are
down in
nice.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then you put the water in it and you leave it overnight.
Yeah.
And then it.
I'm just excited because I moved and I got my fridge hooked up. There's a water line.
Ooh.
And so now I have ice.
Oh, nice.
Fridge ice. I'm so excited. I haven't had ice for like 4 years. So
Cool.
Yeah,
Without going and
ice is
buying a bag of
must,
ice.
Like future
Yeah.
fridges, ice is a must. And
yeah, we've been going through it.
I know. I love having an ice dispenser.
But yeah, we weren't here to talk about drinks. But
I
had to
mean,
throw
we
that in
can.
there. We had to throw that in there.
We always
No.
get off topic somewhere.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about what's in our metaphoric cup. What's going on? What are we drinking from? And
Oh, that's
how
a
does
good
our
thing. Yeah.
cup overflow?
Right.
drinking
right.
the Kool-Aid.
Which we've mentioned cups overflowing on a
My
previous
cup
episode.
overfloweth all the time.
Right, right. Well, I do have people that tell me I'm too busy and I need to not be so busy, but I have a thought about that too. But did you have something, Amber?
Oh man, like same. I'm busy 24/7,
Mhm.
especially with grad school and summer teaching training, stuff like that. Busy all the time.
Me too. Me too. And it seems like the more things I knock out of my schedule, the busier I get because more things come in. I swear.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
like
know. I
I'm
don't know how to do
still
that.
remodeling my house months and months and months later, but it's almost done. So
That's good. That's good. Yeah, well, I'm not remodeling, but I'm like I kind of
Well, you
am.
kind of are like
Because
with
I'm,
the-
picking back up after, repurposing areas of the house and things and
yeah.
cleaning out the garage and stuff. So there's always all that.
So yeah, I guess my cup right now is like offloading my storage units, which was my goal for the
Right.
year when we talked about goals.
I remember that.
And I know we have an episode coming up on goals refresh, so hopefully I can share more with that on that episode. But
yeah.
like I have thus far offloaded a storage unit and a half out of 3 storage units.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So yeah, that's my cup right now. Getting like I guess reducing from my cup.
Ah, yes.
Like reducing the things that I own. Or the things that I inherited, I guess.
Uh-huh.
The things
Yeah,
that have been like
technically
weighing
you
me
own
down.
them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I own them. And we're selling my grandma's house soon, so that'll be one less thing that I own. So,
That'll be a weight off of your shoulders, I'm sure.
yes, it will. What about you, Kristen?
Oh, man. I've been busy. A lot of life changes going on for me. Well, as you know, I think last little update was that our train wreck episode, right?
Yeah, train
It
wreck
just
episode.
recently
Yeah.
came out.
Well,
Um,
a few weeks ago.
So where I left off there was, kind of announcing that I was getting a divorce. And it was kind of sudden surprise to me. It seemed like it was taking forever to move along, but it moved along smoothly. And the divorce was finalized in April. And while all of that was going on, I met somebody, and that kind of just like had this crazy timing, and I got married. Much to everyone's disapproval.
So, what kind of marriage was it? What do they call that?
We eloped.
Yeah,
Yes.
or I was going to say
They
shotgun
ran
marriage.
they ran away and eloped, or she ran away and eloped. Yeah.
That's probably like my favorite story of my grandparents about how they ran away and
away.
eloped. Yeah,
Yeah.
And then came back and went back to their house. And
yeah,
did their
went back to
chores,
their
right? I
regular
remember
houses.
I
Yeah,
remember you talking about that.
That's
before,
funny.
yeah.
didn't tell anybody that they got married.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like okay.
Well, somebody
I-
else did that too.
I
that's
knew
exactly
that
what
she
we
was
planned.
getting married.
Well, I kind of knew she was talking about it, but I thought I dissuaded her from that.
No, we had already planned it
I know.
long before that.
So I guess other than people he talked to, I was the only one that knew.
Yeah, you and my friend Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You not Crystal?
No.
No.
Nope. Because we weren't actually going to invite anybody. It was just going to be the two of us. And then he wanted to invite his son. And then he thought, oh, maybe I should invite my mom and dad. And then we ended up having like
And then you could have
a
invited
bunch of-
your mom.
a bunch of
So-
guests. So
Well, so you're still the mother because he has a son, so you're a stepmom
yep.
still.
Yep.
Now you have two stepkids,
Yep.
Raina and
Alex.
Alex, Raina and Alex. So now you're a double mother.
Right.
Mhm.
I got one of each gender now.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So Alex is 24. She's a little bit older.
Mm-hmm. The
So
fact
you
that
were
we're
a
old-
young mama.
well, the fact that
Right.
we're old enough to have a child in their
24, yeah.
20s,
No
which
kidding.
is,
Right.
Right.
Well, he's a little bit older than me. Scott's 48, so he's 6 years older than me.
well, Stacy has you beat. Like, her husband Chris is pushing 60, so like his son is way grown and then has a
Mhm.
child of
Oh,
his
yeah.
own. So when Stacy got married, she was an automatic step grandma.
Yep. Yep.
Soon. He's 24, so soon it'll be
Oh my God.
maiden Cronin crone.
Oh, you'll be the grand.
No, I'm gonna be the.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the.
The
I'm gonna
crone
rev-
and then the supreme crone.
I'm gonna revert back to being a maiden.
Okay,
I
okay,
was
okay.
gonna say,
Well,
she's gonna
you
be
know,
the
I'm single.
crone Without
I'm the
Jason
biological
and I are
grandchildren.
talking about having kids. That's something that I haven't said on the podcast, but we're
Mm-hmm.
in like the process of having kids. So maybe, Cindy's gonna revert back to the maiden. I'm gonna be the mother, and then Kristen's gonna be the crone. Here in like about a year, probably.
No.
And then we'll cycle back around. You know. Yeah, crazy. It's weird. Yeah,
Life cycles, virtuous cycle.
yeah. So yeah, that you've had a lot going on because in the middle of all your divorce, you were moving. You've had some changes with your work.
Oh man, so many changes at my job, and the leadership structure changed. My team like doubled in size, so now I have a team that comprises of American-based employees, and I have employees in Zimbabwe. So this is my first time leading people outside of my own country. Which to me, it's like, I feel like a global leader now. Like, I know that sounds
Yeah.
really silly, but I am working with people on the opposite side of the world.
Right.
It's winter right now for them. You
Right.
Crazy to
And-
think about
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
You're there. Yeah, there's southern hemisphere
know?
and
Mhm.
eastern hemisphere. So
Yeah.
really, literally the
The
opposite side of the world.
world. And they have a really great work ethic. They're so cheery and receive, constructive feedback, and they take it and run with it. I could not have asked for a better team. Both of my, local employees as well as my global fulfillment. And I'm really excited because I'm getting another employee and they live in Costa Rica.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
So now I'll have 3 different countries because I needed someone that speaks Spanish, and my employees in Zimbabwe don't speak Spanish. So
Gotcha.
I have one employee who is so savvy, and she goes on Google and like translates and reads it with a Spanish accent, and it's the cutest thing ever. But so
I
it's
feel
really
that.
cool.
I
And they're
do
so
that, too.
diverse too. Like the one who does Spanish, she actually has a YouTube channel, and she just released her first music video,
Oh, cool.
and she sings, and it's beautiful.
Oh, you'll have to
Tribal gospel
You'll have
kind
to
of music.
link her on the.
I know. I
yeah.
should. I'm going to.
Yeah,
Because
you should.
it is beautiful.
I was going to ask you too. Amber had asked you about it before we started recording. You were she asked you about school because I know you were talking about going back to
I
school.
couldn't
too,
remember
so.
if I had mentioned that as well, but
I
yeah.
think
You
did.
did like
Okay.
I don't know how
I
long
did
ago.
get that little inspiration about a year ago to go back to school, and golly, that was a year ago.
Was it?
Wow.
Yeah. And I guess I sat on it for like 6 months and really thought about it, and then I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I got accepted into Art Institute of San Francisco, but I think that school's kind of expensive. I really like the curriculum there, but I don't know if I can afford to go to school there because the tuition is more than a standard college tuition because it's
Financial
Art
aid?
Institute. So, I mean, financial aid is kind of funny because I don't qualify for financial aid. Basically, I
Oh,
make enough that
yeah.
they say I could pay for it myself.
Yeah,
So-
as if anybody can pay for college themselves if they're not independently wealthy.
Right.
know?
So that's kind of where I was geared up to sign up for classes in January, but I was, trying to figure out like everything with the divorce and just everything going on. And at that moment in January, I realized I was going to have to move
Right.
too. And it was too much. I was having a hard time connecting with the administration to get everything like locked in. They wanted like my portfolio. I had to go like dig out my portfolio, which I hadn't touched in like 15 years. Take I had to take pictures of all of my work, and it was just like, wow, this is a lot. I'm not ready to start school in a week.
Right.
And because I was at that moment, I was like, how am I going to pay rent all by myself? Because I had just barely lived like a month on my own at that point, and I was really afraid that I was going to be biting off more than I could chew. So
Right.
I decided, let me just figure out my living situation first and, get other things in my life straightened out that I wanted to get taken care of. And then I told the school I was going to wait because I hadn't even had the opportunity to apply to the other college that I was interested in going to, because the Art Institute in San Francisco was just really like railroading me into.
They wanted you.
Yeah, they were really railroading me into signing up for classes and stuff. Like, she sat on the phone with me while I applied online. It's like they weren't going to let me go, which was kind of cool. But at the same time, it was like, I need to like think about this, you know? So I was trying not to be impulsive and, you
have to
laugh.
laugh
I
about
know
that.
you laugh because you're sitting there thinking you just got married after you got divorced.
Like literally.
That was definitely not impulsive. I thought and slept many nights on that. So you roll your eyes, but trust me that I know I made a good decision. So I'm happy,
Well, that's all anybody can ask for.
right?
Right.
That's I realized what I was missing very quickly in my first marriage, and it wasn't there, but I was going to stick through it because I made a commitment. And I feel like God opened opportunities for me because I wasn't happy.
Right.
You know, I mean, I loved Raina to death, and like I said, like I love Travis. He's a friend, but we were not functioning as a married couple
Right.
for
Right.
most of the time that we were together, and that was depressing. It
Right.
really was depressing, and
I understand that.
I
yeah.
learned early on what I did and didn't want in that, but I was willing to stick it out because I'm not a quitter,
Mhm.
you know, and I think God realized that I wasn't going to take myself out of a place I wasn't supposed to be on my own.
Mhm.
And so he did it for me. And I'm,
Well, that happens. Similar scenario to what I went through.
yeah, sometimes you just got to get your butt plucked and put,
Yeah.
that didn't come out right. You get
Well,
grabbed by, sometimes you get grabbed by the seat of your pants and moved into a different place in your life. And,
Right.
I feel like that is literally me because this moment a year ago was completely different than this moment right now.
Uh-huh.
I would have never imagined, on this day a year ago that I would be doing and thinking and saying and living the way that I am right now.
Mhm.
So, I feel like there's been a lot of really positive changes, even the schooling
Right.
that just kind of fell into my lap. It wasn't something that I went seeking, and that's why I say my cup overfloweth. It's good. Like,
Right.
it's not like spilling over because I've got too much in my cup that I can't handle,
It's overflowing with abundance. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Mine, my cup has been spilling out.
You got
So
one of
to
those styrofoam cups with the little crack in the bottom, don't
Well,
you?
and I'm always walking around with it, so it's sloshing off the side. But it's somehow miraculously, there's always the same amount in there. So I don't know how that works exactly, but it's like I'm moving around and the coffee's spilling out the sides and whatever, but I never really lose anything. It's just going everywhere, but I never really lose anything. And that's kind of the way mine's been, since before my husband died. And I'm still, I have people who ask me, I'm like, I tell them I'm still dealing with stuff from leftovers from, Mark passing or whatever. And they're like, well, what do you have left to do? And I was like, almost all of it. I mean, you have no idea. There is so much. Maybe some people die and it's just a simple matter of going down to the bank and changing the names on the bank account. I don't know. That has not been my experience. Everything has been long, drawn out, stupid. I just keep it's just an ongoing headache all the time. We went through probate. Everything's in Mark had a will. He left everything to me. I go through, and tried to, I closed his bank accounts or whatever, but then there were deposits that were made to a closed bank account that, should not have been made to the closed bank account. And where did that money go? Because the bank account's closed. And I had to go back to the bank and they had to reopen the account and assign that money to the account. And, it was just stupid things.
So the bank wasn't going to tell you they were sitting
Oh,
on
heck
that
no.
money.
Oh, heck no. And then one of the bank accounts was a business account, but because I wasn't a signer on the account when he died, it had to close. And so they gave me a check, and then there's all these business things, and I don't have, it's just crazy. And because Mark was a musician, there's all these royalty things and different accounts that are set up for that. So I'm still, waiting for BMI to put his musical interests in my name so that I can collect the royalties from them. There's all these different streaming companies where he had uploaded his music, and until I can get BMI to switch everything over where I own them, I can't get them to switch anything over. So if there's any royalties, they're just sitting there waiting to be collected. He also had some oil royalties that he had inherited. They're very small, but over a year ago, I sent the death notices to those companies with all the required paperwork, and one of them still has not transferred that to my name. And then, there's equipment that has to be liquidated and an LLC that has to be closed, and all kinds of weird stuff like that, on top of all the other things that I do, with my work and my business, and the different things that I'm doing around the house. I have some home projects, like I think I mention this all the time, and we'll talk more about it on the goals refresh. I was working on my garage, and I'm still perpetually working on my garage. And it's more than a one-person job, and yet I'm the only person working on it. So, that's what happens there. So when people ask me, well, what do you have to do? Why are you so busy? Well, I'm so busy because I don't have any help. I'm so busy because there's all kinds of red tape and burning hoops that you have to jump through. And it's just crazy. It is just crazy. And there are days when I just want to crawl in bed and go, I don't want to deal with this today because it's just too much. There's too much. And it's really crazy because like I said, Mark had a will. The lawyer assured us that once he died, everything would be easy peasy. Everything just switches over to your name. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. And we would have been much better off to switch everything over before he died. That way I wasn't having to do this, later.
Yeah.
And it's awful. It's awful. And it just reminds you, it's a daily reminder that this person who was so important to you, who handled all these things, is no longer there. And I don't know why they have to make it so stupid crazy, why the red tape is so thick that you can't cut through it. And, I sent you the death certificate. I sent you the will. I sent you the letters testamentary that says I'm the executor and everything belongs to me. Why are you still making me jump through hoops? And, that's the way it works. So, because they don't want to change things. And they want to keep that money in their pocket for as long as they can because they're drawing interest on it. That's the only thing I can figure out. So in addition to the projects that I'm working on, like cleaning my garage and working on a fire pit in the backyard, which I did not get done, and we'll talk about that, a little later. But, my life is full of trying to, still wrap up what's left of his estate. And it's just a lot. And I would have rather have just paid somebody, here, just come do all this for me, than have to do it. But you can't even do that. So that's what's in my cup. And it's a bitter cup, I tell you. It's not all laced with all the yummy creamer and stuff. So yeah, it just kind of sucks. But I've also done things, in between there, I've done things like hosting a National Scrapbook Day event for our Dallas Crafters Marathon meetup group. And I've done, I went and took a Reiki Master class, so I can be a certified Reiki Master, and which I was kind of excited about. So, I've just done some different things, and I want to travel now. That's what I want to put in my cup. That's what I really want to put in my cup. I want to visit some parks and go on some vacations, and I'm thinking about a cruise maybe.
You know what? I heard something the other day, and I had never really thought about it this way, but they were talking about people who dream of vacation are dreaming of escaping the day to day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's also a quote that says, "We dream. I mean, we take vacations not to escape life, but so that life doesn't escape us."
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're only really living when you can relax and enjoy your surroundings or whatever. And most of the time, a lot of us just go through our days just packed up with all these things that are going on, and we don't stop and enjoy our lives that are around us. And I find myself doing that a lot too. And I've kind of started trying to do some more things where, like shut it down in the evening. Maybe I'll find a mindless project that needs to be done, like shredding taxes. So like when I cleaned out my shed, and in the process of cleaning out the garage, I had several years worth of taxes that were backed up that needed to be shredded. And so I've been just taking those files and sitting in front of the TV and watching a movie or something and shredding those files. So I'm actually getting to enjoy my life a little and do something fun while still taking care of some business that I needed to take care of. And I've enjoyed that too. So I like that because I'm doing something I want to do. I like watching good TV.
I am so ready to be unpacked
Oh, I bet.
in the house
I
because I
bet.
haven't enjoyed watching good TV for about 3 months now.
All right.
The only thing I've watched on TV is I've been trying to keep up with my General Hospital.
Uh-huh.
And so I think I've only missed like 2 episodes in an entire 2 years that I've been
Wow.
watching it.
Yeah.
I picked it back up again.
Right. Yeah.
And I missed like 2 episodes during the move at some point. Like I got 2 weeks behind, and Hulu
And
like
it got erased.
dropped.
Yeah.
One of the
hate
episodes,
that
but I
they-
picked right up. I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't.
I
think.
hate that they only keep. I mean, like they'll keep 5 seasons of a show that's been canceled,
Yeah, for a decade.
and and then they only keep 2 weeks at a time
Yeah.
of a.
I know,
soap.
because I totally go back. I wish they would start the soap over again. I totally go back to the
Oh,
beginning and
that
start
would be
it over
fun,
again. Wouldn't
'cause-
it?
Yeah, because I never watched it in the beginning. It came on before I was born, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, because I watch it too. I'm like, I have 2 weeks worth sitting on my thing, so I've got to watch at least 5 episodes before Friday.
I'm trying to get
because-
used to my new routine and like when am I gonna watch it, and
right.
because
Yeah.
it's like I guess I'll start watching it in the morning before I go to work.
Watch it on your lunch break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I only get 30 minutes.
Oh
so.
yeah. Well, those shows aren't very
I
long.
know, it's like
They're really
35
not.
minutes,
And especially if you have the Hulu with no commercials.
Yeah.
But you talked about new routines, and that's another thing. And and Amber can speak to this in a little bit too, but because her routine will change over the summer. But my routine is starting to change too because Ashley, we just found out today, got was it today or yesterday? It was yesterday.
Yesterday.
Sorry. She just found out that she got a promotion that she applied for, and so she's going to be working a different schedule than she has been. So that changes up all of our meal routines and stuff, and so I probably will not be cooking dinner for the 2 of us anymore. It'll just be for myself.
Oh
and-
yeah, her lunch break will be at dinner time.
Yes, and then I also because I have been holding dinner until she gets off work because her old schedule she didn't get off work until 8:00 at night, and so I would pick her up or she would come home and I would either have dinner waiting for her or I would go pick her up and we would pick up dinner on our way home. So we eat anywhere from 8:00 to 10:00 at night is our dinner. Now, a lot of people I know are going, "Oh my God, that's too late. You can't eat and go to bed." Well, we don't go to bed at 10 o'clock. So
Yeah.
we're up really, really late. Both of us are. She's up till at least midnight or 1 o'clock. I'm usually up till 3 or 4. I would like to change that though. So that is one of the things I'm trying to think about too. It's not in my cup right now, but it's going to be, is how to get myself back on a more, I don't necessarily want to say an early schedule. I don't want to wake up at 6 or 7 in the morning. But if I could wake up at like 9 every day,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe 10 if I sleep in,
Yeah.
you know, and then, go to bed at a more decent hour and eat at regular dinner time, or, like if I could eat dinner at 7 o'clock, that would make me happy. But it's going to be tricky too, just cooking for myself, just one person. So
Yeah.
I don't know I haven't decided what I'm going to do about that yet, because to me, it's almost a waste to cook for one person,
Mm-hmm.
because everything makes at least for 2 people or more. And then you have all these leftovers, and I already have a freezer full of leftovers just for cooking from cooking for Ashley and me. So, I guess I'll start cleaning out the leftovers. But at the same time, I don't want to deplete all that either, because I want to have those as fallback foods. So
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to have delivery all the time.
Eat the same food over and over.
I don't want to eat the same food all the time. I don't want to eat out a whole lot. I mean, I don't mind eating out some, but it gets very expensive, and it's not always all that healthy. So, how is yours going to change, Amber? Do you know?
Oh, in the summertime? Well, I mean, usually like I sleep in, or a little bit later in the summer,
Right.
depending on what I'm doing, and probably I sleep in. But then again, I usually wake up at like 6 anyway. So, but
That's what happens to Ashley.
I just stay up like late and then wake up super early in the morning. My schedule doesn't change much.
Yeah.
Mine is gonna change probably a little bit, because my work schedule is actually becoming more locked in place.
Right.
Thank God. So I was working like early morning shift and then closing the next week. And closing meant
That's
like
hard.
8:30, 9 o'clock.
That's hard on your body to have that changing shift all the time.
Right.
It really
And like
is.
a normal logical person would just wake up in the morning and then just have like morning
Right.
things to do on that week.
Right.
And then on the following week do those things after work. But I can't flip-flop like that. I need more like consistency with like
Right.
the time. So, and like if I don't have to be at work until 12, I'm gonna sleep until 11 o'clock. Like it's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like I will just keep hitting that snooze button. But
Me
it's funny
too.
because on Sunday I always wake up at 8 o'clock.
That's so weird.
The one day that I could sleep in, I always wake up early. So, I don't know. But, I've been getting off work at 7 p.m. now, and I'm living with my brother Steven and my husband now, Scott. And Steven gets off work at 5.
Yeah.
And I get off work at 7. And Steven likes to eat dinner at like 6.
Right.
So, and it's like, and Steven doesn't cook. So he can cook,
He can cook. Yeah.
but he doesn't. So he will go for convenience first.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And when he was living by himself, he was eating a lot of food delivery, like every meal.
yes.
And he was eating mixed nuts for breakfast. Convenience food, literally.
Yeah.
He would just, whatever he could just eat without
Peanut butter jelly sandwich.
yeah, that was the
Bowl of
most. That
cereal.
was the most food preparation that he did while he lived with me, except for specific days where I was like, "Can you put this food in the oven? I already put
Right.
it in the pan."
And he knows how to
He
cook.
knows how to cook,
He
yeah.
did, and he did HelloFresh for a long time on his own. Yeah.
But he just he cut corners to the point where he got comfortable with
He
food
doesn't
delivery.
care.
Yeah. And Scott likes to cook, but he doesn't want to be like the food cooker for everybody, which I
Right.
don't blame him, you know. And I like to cook, but I also like don't like being stuck in the kitchen every night after work,
Me-
because
yeah.
then it's like, well,
Yeah.
I have no life now.
Right, that's me. That's why one of the
So-
reasons I don't like to cook. I don't mind
Mhm.
cooking once in a while, but I don't want
Yeah.
to cook every night because it I used to complain to Mark that it would if I had to cook because I cooked and washed dishes for the longest
For
time.
the longest
And I said,
time, yeah.
it's 3 hours.
Yeah.
You're in the kitchen for 3 hours. Everybody else comes home from work and they sit on the couch and they watch TV or they read a book or they play with whatever their hobby is. And I'm in the kitchen for 3 hours cooking, and I never get that me time. I never get that downtime. And so that's why I'm like, I don't want to cook.
Yeah.
I don't want to cook every night.
Yeah. So we're figuring that out, playing around with that, and so far Scott and I have been cooking, and Steven is doing the dishes, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see how it works as far as time wise. I mean, we've had to run some errands. Like this week, we had to go run errands, and it was like, oh, that place closes at 8, and I get off at 7. So I
Yeah,
like had
you
to
gotta go.
eject myself from my desk, like,
Yeah.
and race over to Lowe's so we could get like parts to fix something,
Yeah, yeah.
and some tools. And then it was like, okay, we'll be home. And then by the time you get home, it's like 8:30, and Steven's standing there in the kitchen, like, what's for dinner? It's so funny. Like we'll start cooking, and we'll be
I-
like, when
I
do you
can-
bet Steven will walk in?
I bet I can actually see him because he does. You put your hand on your hip, and that's what he
Yes.
does. He puts his hand on his hip.
And he comes in and like looks to see when dinner's gonna be ready. And so now, like, Scott was like, when do you bet Steven will come in? 30 minutes from now,
That was why Friday night I invited him over. I was like, "Hey, what are you doing after work? Do you want to come eat?"
Yeah, that's funny because we went to Lowe's. And
Yeah, he
then-
said you were gone, so he was like, "Okay."
Yeah, we were just gonna run to Lowe's really quick and then get a vegetable for dinner because
Uh-huh.
we ran out of a vegetable aside for one of our meals, and it took way longer.
Uh-huh.
We were at Lowe's for like an hour, and then we were at Winco for like 45 minutes,
Uh-huh.
and then we come home and like we're like, where's Steven?
Yep, he was
Yep.
at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're trying to figure out that routine because I don't want to make Steven wait until like 9 o'clock because
Right,
I was
well-
eating dinner at like 8:30, 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
and it's like Scott and I were eating dinner at the same time because he was in Pacific time zone.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
so we're literally like living on the same schedule, just at 2 different hours,
Right.
2 hour difference. And so like I've been used to eating at 9 o'clock for like the past like 5 months.
Uh-huh.
And now it's like, okay, I guess I get to eat dinner like right after I get off work now because
Yeah.
nobody else wants to wait.
Well,
to
that's
eat
I mean
dinner at
that's
9.
basically me and Ashley because even when Mark was here, I would postpone dinner as late as I could so that the food wasn't cold when she
Yeah.
got home. So we would already be eating, but the food would still be. We weren't done eating, so she didn't have to sit at the table by herself or whatever. And then when Mark passed and it was just Ashley and me, I just said, well, I'll just wait and cook so that it's ready when you get home. And I don't mind doing that because I'm going to be up late anyway, so it's no big deal. But I'm like, and it's mainly because I don't want her to have to reheat something or whatever or eat by herself. Although nowadays we don't even sit at the table with each other. I go sit in the dining room and she sits in the kitchen. So because we watch TV or watch our YouTube or whatever. But yeah, I just I don't know. I haven't decided. It's gonna be hard figuring out what to do for meals for one, but. So it will definitely change my routine quite a bit, and I'm hoping all this busy will lighten up. I'm working really hard to get all this stuff resolved, and where it's just a maintenance schedule instead of a constant. I got to change this over. I got to change that over. I got to go take this modem back to Spectrum because I switched over to Frontier Internet or whatever, There's all kinds of things like that. They're just always going on. But I found this. When I was talking about it earlier when I first came on, I said I'm crazy busy or whatever. It's I found this quote. I'm not
I was
sure.
wondering what you're flipping through
Yeah,
over there.
I was looking through my
I was
quotes.
intrigued by your
I,
card organizer.
I'll tell you about that. That's one of my projects. So that's one of and I want to get to some of that in a minute. But one of the things I did was I had this little quote that I wanted to share because it's a Brene Brown quote, and I love Brene Brown. And I have not read all of her stuff, but what I've read of her and what I've read of her quotes and I've heard from her TED Talks, she's spot on with so much stuff. So she says, crazy busy, and she uses that in quotes because, I talk about being crazy busy all the time, is a great armor. It's a great way for numbing. What a lot of us do, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily what I'm doing. It might be, but if it is, I've been doing it for a long time. It's a great way for numbing. What a lot of us do is that we stay so busy and so out in front of our life that the truth of how we're feeling and what we really need can't catch up with us. Mm-hmm. And I mean, at this point in my life, I will definitely say that. I don't know that that's always. Well, maybe it was. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I can agree with that.
I do. Okay, so right now in my life, like we're talking about cups, and I keep my cup overflowing. I'm crazy busy. And it is a great way for numbing that grief or whatever, so that I only have to deal with it when I have time to deal with it, which I do make time to deal with it. And when I'm alone, when I'm, in my room or whatever, or when I have time to deal with it. But I don't want to have to deal with it while I'm talking with a client or whatever, so staying crazy busy is a good way to keep that pushed back just a little bit, because I don't have to stop and think about, what I'm really feeling, which is a whole lot of grief. Mm-hmm. Anyone who tells you it gets easier with time is they're lying. They've never been through grief. It doesn't get easier with time. It's always still there. It's always just as intense as it ever was. You just learn to bear it. I truly believe that's true. And I've heard other people say it that way before too, that the grief is still just as strong as it ever was, but you just learn. It's like living with chronic pain. Mm-hmm. People who have chronic pain learn to adapt and adapt and smile through the pain. And that's basically what it is. And as far as like what we really need, because what I really need is my husband back. That's what I really need, but that's, I was just saying, I don't think that was always the case, but now I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe it was, maybe that has always been the case for me, this crazy busy, because I do know that when I started my businesses, it was because I was bored. I was lonely. I didn't have a whole lot of friends. That, like when I started Crafty Neighbor originally, I made friends with my friend Stephanie from next door, and we started Crafty Neighbor so that we would have some things to do and we could make a little mad money, because our husbands worked and we were bored, and I wasn't getting what I needed as far as friendship and social life and stuff. And so Crafty Neighbor gave that to me. Going on, fast forward to when my son was in high school and I added on the travel agency. It fulfilled more social things for me because I knew that he was going to graduate and I wasn't going to be able to, I wouldn't have those same social interactions as I had because of PTA and all that stuff. So I filled that with something else. And so it did fulfill, fill in gaps so that I didn't have to think about being lonely and unsocial or whatever, So,
I can totally identify with that too, because for you, like, you find lots of projects to distract
Yes.
yourself with, where I
Yes.
find one thing to hyper focus on.
yes,
and it's
you do.
usually my work.
Yeah,
I
I
usually
sometimes
get-
find things to hyper focus on too. But
Get hyper focused on my job, and that's, I mean, with work being work from home, that became like very easy because the drug was like easily accessible.
right.
Because I was getting a dopamine high and adrenaline rush from work, because I was taking on lots of projects at work, and I
Uh-huh.
was getting like,
And it made you feel good when you accomplished
and I felt
them,
good
or-
because I accomplished things and people wanted me.
Yeah.
I felt needed and wanted.
Yes.
Which, like, work's always given me that fulfillment because, I strive to please
Right.
because I'm a people pleaser.
Right.
And that's my personality type, is the achiever.
Yes.
Right?
What
I've
number is
learned
that
so
one?
much from being a 3.
3. That's right.
Yeah.
You're an Enneagram 3. Yes.
Yeah. And so, understanding that piece of me, like, I cannot be more thankful for taking that Enneagram.
I know. Right.
Thank you, Amber.
That was very
You're welcome.
enlightening.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things about that too that I
Yeah.
learned.
And now I'm just like, wow, that's why I do that, because
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't being lifted up at home in my relationship in that way.
Right.
So I was seeking it where I
Elsewhere.
could get
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
I know. When I read that quote, that's what I did. Mind blown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that leads me though into my next question, because when you say what's in your cup, what fills up your cup? Which is another way of looking at that. What are the things that help you fill up your cup? Because we talk about self-care. We talk about filling up your cup, giving
Uh-huh.
yourself that energy back, giving yourself that boost, that self-confidence, all those things. What things do you do that help you fill up your cup?
Well, I just answered that, like, going to
Well,
work.
that's not a, but that's
one
not
of
a,
them.
that's, yeah.
That's
And that one's
one
not
piece of it.
necessarily a positive one, because that one is also a drain.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like hobbies and
right.
like, what else gives you that sense of accomplishment? What else gives you that pride of that, or like something that fills up my cup is literally doing this podcast and writing blogs, because I write as an Enneagram 1, a perfectionist. It's kind of closely related to the giver, in that you see things and you want to fix things that are broken. That's what the perfectionist is. It's not that I think I'm perfect, or it's that you want the world to be perfect. Does that make sense? And so you want to fix things. You want to make them better. You want to do things that make things better. You want to heal things. And I mean, all of the Enneagram numbers are kind of tied to each other, and you're probably a little of all of them. But in that one, I find that, giving really good advice and writing a blog that I think might help somebody, that's one of those things that fills up my cup.
Mhm.
And helping people in those ways, fills up my cup. Earlier today, I was sitting here working on my one little word, and I was fussy cutting. That is a term that we crafters use for cutting out in fine detail some pictures from a book of flowers, and like cutting out all the detail. And I was saying that kind of fills up my cup, that need to sit and cut and create and make
tedious,
collage and piecing things together, and that definitely is one of the things that fills up my cup. Even if I'm just kind of mindlessly cutting things out and gluing them down while I watch TV or talk with my friends, it fills my cup. So there's a lot of things that fill my cup, and that is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the silly kind of waste of time suck things that fill up my cup, like doing a search game, hidden pictures search game on my phone, because if I do that for a few minutes, I feel accomplished that I found all the little, it's like a brain charge. I feel like I've used my brain, or doing things like that.
So I guess, other things that fill my cup right now are just making my home more like a home.
You know what? That's one of mine too.
And I've always liked that. Like, I like not perfecting, but I don't know. I guess
It's
it is
nesting.
perfecting. Yeah, I'm always nesting. I think my grandma said something about the moving things around is a sign of insecurity or something.
Yeah, she was
like
talking
that,
about reorganizing your furniture was a sign of insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
know
think
about
so.
that, but
I don't think so.
I've been just enjoying
you're moving, so
the
that-
process of opening each box and determining where everything goes. And I actually enjoy that. Like, I don't mind the process of packing the boxes, because it's like a game, getting everything to
Tetris.
fit. Yeah. It appeases my OCD.
Right.
And unpacking the boxes appeases my OCD. The moving part that I don't like is moving day, where they come and move all the boxes, or I have to do all the heavy lifting, which I'm, we're past that now, and we're at the point where,
it's just like figure
all
out
the
where all the
furniture is
stuff goes.
pretty much where it's supposed to go, and now we just gotta put things where it goes.
Right, yeah.
I still have a few boxes left for the kitchen, and my scrapbook room has not all the furniture's where it's supposed to go. I'm still trying to decide what the flow is gonna be, because it's a big room like this.
Right.
Not as big as this room, but it's a very sizable room, and
it's almost as big as this room.
yeah, it's almost as big as your scrapbook room. So
Yeah.
I have a new flow with how my
Right.
desk and stuff will set up in there. So I'm trying to get an idea of how I want that to look. So I decided to wait on that room because it's the least important room in the house. We just finished the living room. Well, I say finished. I'm missing a peg on my bookshelf to hold one of the shelves up.
Yeah.
I know, one of the panels, I'm missing a peg. So I've got a stack of books, and all the video game consoles haven't been plugged in yet, but it's pretty much, it's functionable. And yesterday, for the first time, I actually sat down and watched a movie
Oh yeah.
and relaxed, and so that was nice. I mean, I immediately fell asleep watching the movie, but but that's, at least I got to do that. So that's where we're at right now. I enjoy that. I like the process of that. And even once I'm done, it's never quite finished, because I'll find something else.
You still tinker. I've lived in this house 20 years and I'm still
Always
tinkering.
Yeah. And I think I will always do that. I'm always going to be tinkering.
Well, I mean, you talked about how that, I get a lot of joy in doing that too. I've kind of slowly over the years been, making this house exactly what I want it to be. And so I've had all these little projects. And so
Amber,
now,
you're doing that too, aren't you?
yeah, totally. You are.
Yeah.
What you just sent me a picture of your photo wall.
Yeah, I'm rearranging everything in my house. Bought almost all new furniture. Actually, I did a photo wall the other day, a gallery wall, and it's probably the first time ever that I've put photos up on the wall.
Yeah. I like it though.
They usually go up last, or they go on the bookshelf in front of the books, but I've never actually put photos up on the wall.
Yeah. And that, I went from having photos on the wall to now having only photos on the bookshelves, which is kind of weird for me, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even have a gallery wall anymore. But I do like, I'm like right now I'm kind of looking at ideas for I want to remodel my bedroom, I think, and that it kind of fills my cup just to scroll through Pinterest and pin things that I like and, ideas. And, that way when I get ready to do it, I think I might hire a designer and let them oversee it.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can just say, this is what I want. And this is kind of what I picture. Let's make this happen and let them do all the heavy brain work on it. So, I think I might do that, but I also have some ideas that I kind of want to, I don't know. So it's not going to happen in the immediate future because I still have these other projects going on, but it's a nice cup filling distraction.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of the other things that's been filling my cup lately is I took a pause on tarot cards.
Oh, really?
I did. A couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that my tarot card ritual was me seeking answers. And I realized that was a distraction from praying. And so, and even just like meditating even. So I decided, to not do my Sunday tarot cards and see how that worked. I swapped it out with prayer instead. And I found that I really enjoyed that
time. Yeah.
So I've been actually like having a lot more conversations with God lately. And that's been filling my cup. So
well, that's good. That's good. I mean, I think spirituality, regardless of what faith you have, is a great way to fill your cup. And I mean, and there's so many aspects of that you can, so many things you can do, like prayer, meditation, studies, like study Bible studies or other studies, whatever. Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
what are we talking about next week?
Next week, we are talking, well, I mentioned this, that I was going to talk about some things. It's our mid-year goal refresh. So we've kind of mentioned some of those things for this episode.
But we're going to dive deeper.
We're going to dive a little deeper in that and talk about how to kind of kickstart your goals again, because we're at the mid-year point, and it's time to assess what's working, what's not working, and some of that kind of stuff. So that's what we'll be talking about. Mid-year goal refresh.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. It's my favorite topic. All right. Well, we want to thank all of our listeners for joining us this week and for continuing every week to come stop by. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you get that notification every week.
Every time there's a new
Every
one.
Wednesday, it hits midnight Central Time. And, check out the podcast blog website where we have Heard It on Our Podcast. We'll make sure to link anything that we discuss that's linkable on the Heard It on the Podcast. And, there are some blogs there, supplemental blogs on our topics as well. And you can also reach us on MMC Chat on Facebook, where you can interact with us.
You get there from our Modern Musings Facebook page. It's a group off of that links off of there.
Yep, MMC Chat. So if you have any questions or suggestions, you can also hit us up there. Well, I'm looking forward to our topic next week, and thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.